about. Give me the 14 when it's 14. The kill 14, what you know about. AR-15, the class 16, when you know the start steam, what you know about. BM-16, yeah, you 16.
What's going on, good people? I want to do an update on trigger press. I went over in a previous video the number one reason why people miss. So I want to kind of do an update video and explain some things in a little more detail. So if you talk to the best shooters in the world, I'm not talking about tactics, I'm talking about the ability to fire a gun, hit what you're aiming at speed. These people have multiple ways that they depress, manipulate, pull the trigger, however you want to describe it, right? So there isn't one just trigger press for them. They have multiple trigger presses, and the difficulty of the target is going to determine the manner in which they pull the trigger. So for a lot of them, they'll have 3 or 4. I'll go over just 3. So one of them, the most basic one, is a target that's really close. It doesn't call for a lot of accuracy. When you get on your gun, you might just need an index. You might not even need to see your sights in order to be accurate enough to hit your target. And that one, you're just going to slap. Remember, slapping the trigger is not bad as long as you do it in a fashion that does not disturb the sights, right? So they're going to slap the trigger straight back. And then they'll come all the way off the trigger, gun will cycle, and then they'll slap it again. Typically, that's the fastest way to do it. Relax. You can train yourself to stay on the trigger, but it's a little more difficult to do that. So a lot of times, without even knowing it, people will come off of the trigger completely and just slap it straight back. Again, nothing wrong with that as long as you do not disturb your sights. All right. So the next one is for a target that's going to require a little more accuracy than something up close and personal, right? So what you're going to do on that one, this one you're going to actually take up the slack or prep your trigger, break the shot, and after your shot breaks, your finger's going to come off the trigger, it'll reset, you'll prep and break again and repeat that cycle. And then again, when your target is farther out, or maybe it's smaller, or maybe the difficulty is greater, you'll go to your next trigger press where you'll prep, all right, you'll break your shot, slide will cycle, and then you'll come out just to the point where your trigger is reset. Now, the goal is to be able to reset the trigger under recoil. So you break the shot, your slide will reciprocate. By the time your sights settle, you might not make it by the time your slide comes all the way home, but by the time your sights settle back down on target, you want your trigger to be reset already. That way, you can fire as soon as your sights are back on target. You don't have to wait. There is another one that you would do typically only during like bullseye shooting or group shooting. If you're shooting groups, it's similar to the one I just did, but you're going to break your shot. Gun will cycle, and then it doesn't matter when you come off into your reset because you're not going to be shooting quickly. You're shooting groups. You're going to be shooting really slow. So at that point, people normally ease out because they just want to go just to that reset and not any farther because they want as much accuracy as possible. Remember, the farther you have to pull or manipulate the trigger, the more likely it is for you to disturb your sight. So they want to come exactly to that reset point and then break a shot just for the most accurate shot as possible. So there's 4 different ways that you can manipulate the trigger. What you should do when you're at the range, depending on your target difficulty and your skill level, figure out what you can do. Can you get away with just slapping the trigger because the target is literally feet away? Or if you're good enough, maybe it's 5-7 yards away, or maybe even 10 or beyond, just depending on what you can do. Or do you need to prep first and then break and come off? Or is it a little harder? Maybe you need to prep and then come right back to that reset. Or are you shooting groups just to either sight in your optic, or you just want to see how accurate you can be, or maybe your shot is 50 yards away and you want to break the shot and then slowly come back to your reset and then press again. So either way, if you have any questions, let me know.
Give me the 14 when it's 14, the kill 14, what you know about. AR-15, the class 16, when you know the start steam.